Have you ever noticed that some of the things people criticize about you might actually be signs that your mind works differently? Maybe you overthink simple situations. Maybe you get quiet in loud rooms. Maybe you notice tiny changes in someone's tone before anyone else does. Maybe you walk away from conversations feeling like you saw something beneath the surface that nobody else seemed to catch. And because of that, people call you strange. Too intense. Too sensitive. Too distant. Too analytical. Too hard to read. But what if those things are not flaws? What if they are clues? Not proof that you are better than anyone else. Not some dramatic sign that you are above people. But signs that your brain may be processing the world with more depth, more pattern recognition, and more emotional precision than most people realize. Because some minds do not move through life casually. They scan. They connect. They question. They absorb. They notice what others miss, and then they carry those details around like invisible data. And that can make you look strange in a world that rewards fast reactions, easy answers, and surface-level confidence. The first strange thing intelligent people often do is this. They get quiet when everyone expects them to perform. You have probably been in a room where everyone is talking at once. People are laughing, interrupting, exaggerating stories, filling every silent gap with noise. And somehow, instead of joining in immediately, you step back. You observe. You listen to the rhythm of the room. You notice who wants attention, who is pretending to be comfortable, who is forcing a laugh, who keeps checking the door, who changes their voice depending on who is nearby. To other people, this can look like shyness, or arrogance, or social awkwardness. They may think you are bored, judgmental, or disconnected. But many highly aware minds need time before they enter a social environment fully. They are not just hearing words. They are reading patterns, facial expressions, micro-shifts in energy, contradictions between what someone says and how they say it, the group dynamic, the emotional temperature of the room. For some people, socializing is like jumping into a pool. For you, it may feel more like walking into a control room with dozens of signals flashing at once. Your silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes your silence is processing. Your brain is building a map before it decides where to place itself. And this is why intelligent people are often misunderstood. Because society usually rewards the person who speaks first, laughs loudest, and looks the most comfortable. But comfort is not the same as awareness. Some people are loud because they are confident. Others are loud because silence terrifies them. And some people are quiet because they are not impressed by noise. They are waiting for something real. The second strange thing intelligent people do is they replay conversations long after they are over. Someone says one sentence. Just one. And hours later, it is still moving around in your mind. Not because you are weak. Not because you are obsessed. But because your brain is trying to understand the layers inside it. Why did they say it that way? Why did their expression change for half a second? Why did the room feel different after that moment? Why did you respond the way you did? What did you miss? What did they really mean? To other people, this can look like overthinking. And sometimes, yes, it can become exhausting. But at its core, this habit often comes from a brain that is highly sensitive to patterns and social meaning. You are not only remembering the words. You are remembering the context around the words. The pause before the answer. The nervous laugh. The sudden change in eye contact. The way someone said, "I'm fine," while their entire body said they were not. Most people move on because they only heard the sentence. You replay it because you heard the system behind the sentence. And that can feel lonely. Because when you try to explain what you noticed, people may say, "You're reading too much into it." But sometimes you are not reading too much. Sometimes you are reading what they were too distracted to see. This does not mean every interpretation is correct. An intelligent mind still needs humility. It needs evidence. It needs emotional regulation. But the ability to revisit a moment and extract deeper meaning from it is not automatically a defect. It is part of how insight works. Many people live on the surface of what happened. You keep asking what it meant. That is where wisdom begins. The third strange thing intelligent people often do is they lose interest when conversations become too predictable. You can be perfectly friendly. You can care about people. You can enjoy connection. But there is a specific kind of conversation that drains you fast. The automatic kind. The conversation where nobody is really present. Everyone is just exchanging safe phrases. How are you? Good. Busy lately? Yeah, same as always. Crazy weather. Can't believe it's already Friday. Nothing is wrong with these phrases. They help people open doors socially. But your brain may not want to live in the doorway. It wants to enter the house. It wants meaning. It wants tension. It wants truth. It wants to know what people think when they are not performing. So when a conversation stays too polished, too predictable, too empty, your attention starts to disappear. People may think you are rude. But you are not rejecting them. You are rejecting the lack of substance. This is why you may connect deeply with one person in 10 minutes, while feeling completely alone in a room full of people for 3 hours. Your mind is not looking for more noise. It is looking for resonance. A sentence that feels alive. A question that opens something. A moment where someone stops managing their image and actually speaks from inside themselves. That is when you wake up. That is when your eyes focus. That is when your energy returns. Because intelligent people are often not hungry for attention. They are hungry for depth. And depth is rare. This is also why you may prefer a quiet evening with one meaningful conversation over a loud event with 50 shallow interactions. Not because you hate people, but because your nervous system knows the difference between contact and connection. Contact is being around people. Connection is being understood. And once your mind has tasted real connection, pretending to enjoy empty interaction becomes harder. The fourth strange thing intelligent people do is they question things that everyone else accepts automatically. Someone says, "That's just how life works." And something inside you immediately asks, "But why? Who decided that? Does it still make sense? Is this true, or just repeated? Is this wisdom, or just tradition wearing a serious face?" This can make people uncomfortable, because questioning a system often feels like questioning the people who depend on that system. So they may call you difficult, negative, rebellious, too critical. But intelligent minds often have a low tolerance for mental laziness. They do not want to accept an answer just because it is popular. They want to know if it is accurate. This is not about arguing for the sake of arguing. At least, not when it is healthy. It is about refusing to let your mind fall asleep inside someone else's assumptions. Every major change in human behavior begins with someone asking a question that other people were trained to avoid. Why do we do it this way? What if this rule protects comfort more than truth? What if the thing everyone calls normal is only normal because nobody has challenged it yet? This kind of mind can be exhausting to people who want simple agreement. But it is valuable. Because progress does not usually begin with applause. It begins with discomfort. It begins with one person noticing the crack in the wall everyone else decorated. So if people have called you strange because you are quiet, intense, hard to entertain, or unwilling to accept easy answers, maybe the problem is not that your mind is broken. Maybe your mind is simply refusing to go numb. And in a world full of automatic reactions, that can look very strange. But it can also be the beginning of real intelligence. If one of these signs already felt personal, don't ignore that reaction. Write in the comments which one described you the most, because sometimes the thing you thought made you difficult is actually the thing that makes your mind powerful. And stay with this, because in the next part, we are going deeper into the behaviors that make intelligent people seem emotionally complicated, mentally distant, and almost impossible for shallow people to understand. The fifth strange thing intelligent people often do is they feel older than their age. Not physically. Not because they think they are superior. But because their mind has been analyzing life for so long that they sometimes feel like they have already lived through things other people are only beginning to notice. Even when they were younger, they may have asked questions that made adults uncomfortable. They noticed tension in the house. They felt when someone was pretending. They understood the mood of a room before anyone explained it. They sensed when a relationship was changing. They saw the hidden rules behind people's behavior. And because of that, they often grew up with a strange inner distance from the world around them. While others were simply experiencing life, they were studying it. This can make intelligent people feel out of sync. They may be young, but mentally tired. Surrounded, but not fully understood. Included, but still somehow outside the emotional rhythm of the group. People might say, "You think too much." But the truth is, their brain may have learned very early that thinking was a way to stay safe, prepared, and aware. When you grow up noticing details other people ignore, your mind does not easily relax into innocence. It keeps scanning. It keeps predicting. It keeps trying to understand what is really happening beneath what people are saying. That can become exhausting. But it can also become powerful. Because the same mind that feels burdened by awareness can also become incredibly wise. It sees consequences earlier. It detects patterns sooner. It understands motives faster. It does not just ask, "What happened?" It asks, "What created the conditions for this to happen?" That is not ordinary thinking. That is layered thinking. And layered thinking often makes a person feel strangely separate from people who only react to the surface. The sixth strange thing intelligent people do is they disappear when they are overwhelmed. Not always dramatically. Sometimes they just stop replying as quickly. They become quieter. They cancel plans. They spend more time alone. They need space from conversations, notifications, expectations, and emotional noise. To other people, this can look cold. It can look selfish. It can look like they do not care. But many intelligent minds are not trying to punish anyone by pulling away. They are trying to recover. Because a highly active mind does not only process its own life. It often absorbs other people's moods, problems, contradictions, and unspoken tension. A normal conversation can become a full mental file. A conflict can become an entire internal investigation. A crowded environment can feel like too many tabs open at once. So when intelligent people disappear, they are often not escaping people. They are escaping overload. They are trying to hear themselves again. They are trying to return to a state where their thoughts are clear and their emotions are not tangled with everyone else's. This is why solitude can feel less like loneliness and more like oxygen. Some people recharge by being seen. Others recharge by being unobserved. For intelligent people, being alone can be the only place where the mind stops performing, explaining, translating, and defending itself. And that matters. Because if they never withdraw, they begin to lose access to their own inner world. They become reactive, irritable, emotionally heavy, mentally foggy, not because they are weak, but because their system is carrying too much input. The seventh strange thing intelligent people often do is they notice when something feels fake. A forced smile. A compliment with hidden resentment. A group that pretends to be close but is full of quiet competition. A person who says the right words but gives off the wrong energy. A room where everyone is laughing, but nobody feels safe. They may not always have proof immediately, but something inside them pauses. Their mind catches the mismatch. The words say one thing. The tone says another. The body language says something else entirely. And this is where intelligent people can become difficult to manipulate. Because they do not only listen to language. They listen to patterns. They notice when someone's story keeps changing. They notice when confidence is being used to cover insecurity. They notice when kindness is being performed for an audience. They notice when a person wants control but calls it concern. And because of this, they may struggle to just enjoy certain environments. People tell them to relax, to stop being suspicious, to stop analyzing everything. And sometimes, yes, they need to be careful not to turn perception into paranoia. But sometimes their discomfort is not anxiety. Sometimes it is accuracy arriving before evidence. The intelligent mind often detects inconsistency before it can explain it. That is why it may take months for everyone else to see what they sensed in the first conversation. This can make them feel isolated. Because seeing early often means being doubted early. But when the truth finally appears, people say, "How did you know?" And the answer is not magic. It is attention. It is pattern recognition. It is the ability to observe what people reveal when they think nobody is looking closely. The eighth strange thing intelligent people do is they struggle to pretend they are interested. They may try to be polite. They may smile. They may nod. But internally, if something feels empty, repetitive, or dishonest, their mind starts to detach. This can create problems socially, because many situations require performance. Laugh at the joke. Agree with the group. Act impressed. Keep the conversation comfortable. But intelligent people often have a difficult relationship with performance. They can do it for a while, but they pay for it internally, because pretending requires them to split themselves in two. One part performs the expected reaction. The other part watches the performance happen and quietly feels trapped. This is why they may become very selective with people. Not because they think they are better, but because they are tired of abandoning themselves to make other people comfortable. They want conversations where they do not have to shrink their perception. They want friendships where honesty does not feel dangerous. They want environments where depth is not treated like a problem. And once they find that, they become deeply loyal. Because intelligent people may be hard to access casually, but when they trust someone, they bring a rare kind of presence. They remember details. They listen beneath the sentence. They ask questions that reach the hidden place. They help people understand themselves. They do not just want to be around others. They want to meet them where they are real. And that is why shallow people often misunderstand them. A shallow person may see distance, but a deeper person recognizes discernment. A shallow person may see intensity, but a deeper person recognizes precision. A shallow person may see weirdness, but a deeper person recognizes a mind that refuses to live half awake. So if you have spent years feeling strange because you are quiet in groups, exhausted by fake energy, allergic to empty conversations, sensitive to hidden meanings, or unable to accept answers that do not make sense, maybe you are not as broken as you were made to feel. Maybe your mind is simply tuned to frequencies other people learn to ignore. And yes, that can be lonely. It can make you feel like you are always translating yourself. It can make ordinary life feel louder than it should. It can make relationships more complicated, because you are not easily satisfied with appearances. But it also gives you something rare. You can see patterns. You can feel shifts. You can question systems. You can build deep connections. You can detect what is real. And in a world addicted to speed, noise, and performance, the ability to notice deeply is not weakness. It is intelligence with emotional depth. The world may call it strange because the world often fears what it cannot easily label. But your mind was never meant to be easily labeled. It was meant to observe, to connect, to question, to understand, to see beneath the surface and refuse to sleepwalk through your own life. So the next time someone calls you too quiet, too intense, too analytical, or too hard to understand, pause before you believe them. Maybe they are not describing your flaw. Maybe they are describing the part of you they cannot reach. If this video made you feel seen, write in the comments which sign felt the most personal to you. And if you want more videos that decode human behavior, hidden intelligence, emotional patterns, and the psychology behind why you feel different, subscribe to Mind Motive Theory and keep exploring the mind beneath the surface.